3 years ago today, well, 3 years and about 9 hours and 6 minutes, give or take, but hey, who's counting? Nothing changed. For a lot of people, that moment is the moment where their world gets sort of turned upside down. But for me, it was just the inevitable conclusion of a culmination of events and incidents over the previous 2 years-ish, bit less, that led to the doctor saying, you have MS, multiple sclerosis. And I would have been amazed had he said anything else. Such had been the amount of hiccups is probably the wrong word, oddities, unexplained weird things that have had that led me to the conclusion that I had MS. When I first heard that it could be MS, my first reaction was, it's not going to be MS. Other people get MS. Sort of, you never think that you're going to end up getting MS. I mean, at that point, I knew nothing about MS. I knew it wasn't something you'd particularly want. I knew it was sort of a bad thing, but that's all I knew. I didn't know what it may or may not do. I had no preconceptions. All I knew was that it wouldn't be something I'd particularly want, and at the time I thought that I probably haven't got it. It was probably something else, probably something far more mundane that I haven't thought of. I just looked up optic neuritis on the internet, and that was the first website I came to. And I didn't really have any other problems. I hadn't really had any other relapses at that point. Of course, I didn't know what a relapse was, for me to know if I'd had any previously. And I can sort of understand where people that have no idea that they've got MS, and all of a sudden this doctor, this person they don't even know, tells them they've got MS, and they probably have as little idea of what MS actually is as I did at that point. They probably just assume he's maybe got it wrong. They'll probably think that MS is a bad thing, but that'll be about all they know. And I can imagine being very scared if, at the time that I first read that it may be MS, I got told I had MS, I'd go into some sort of shock. But I never had that. I just had symptom after symptom that just led to me realising in my own time that I had MS. And I suppose I sort of ignored it in my own way. I didn't ignore the fact that I had MS. That was obvious. But for a long time I never really considered myself disabled in any particular sense. I never really... I don't use a wheelchair, I don't have any crutches, don't have any walking sticks, don't have anything of what you'd typically expect of a disabled person to have. And I was 23 at the time. So I suppose I was quite naive on the whole subject. Not just of MS, but of disability. I'd never really stopped to consider all the different aspects of what disability could entail. And it's only after 3 years, when I've had time to stop and think about all the things that the MS has taken away from me, that does kind of make you sad. The worst thing for me, and the thing that I hope will never happen to me, is thinking about a loss of all the things that could have been, because that's sort of like the MS taken away my hope. And if the MS takes away my hope, then surely the MS has won. So yeah, 3 years ago today was the day that nothing changed. Yet at the same time, everything changed. But I suppose that's life.